As mentioned, my name is Maris Straatmans. I'm the Director for Ocean Health. We're an initiative of Van Noord, and we're entrepreneurs, so to say, as Rachel already introduced. We're trying to set up this initiative at a light speed to make impact for our oceans, and that's what we're aiming to do. And obviously, with the parent company Van Noord having 152 years of experience, we also know very much what the challenge is for the oceans. And I think it's been mentioned already quite often in this afternoon, but I think it's important to keep on stressing it. And I think everybody here in the call is obviously underwriting that the need for solutions for the oceans is tremendous. And it's a large part of the whole climate action that we're all looking for at this moment. And I think that the oceans don't get the stage yet that they deserve and that they need. Maybe to start with then a little bit, it's also sharing a little bit the journey that we went through as a team. First of all, of course, was digging into the problem. And especially I think, and that's also a little bit the topic of my presentation today, the problem behind the problem. Our first step was to see, okay, so what contributes to the ocean? What are all the elements that have an impact on the ocean and are actually contributing to a sound and healthy ocean? And there's a lot of different aspects, but there are also aspects that maybe are a little bit less clearly on top of everybody's minds. Of course, all the flora and fauna, whether it's the fish or the seaweeds or the mangroves that are involved, they all have impact. But for example, also noise is a very good example. We're all relying on the goods that are coming from Asia to us, but all this transport comes with a huge amount of noise in our oceans, which is really hampering, for example, the fish to reproduce because they cannot find each other. And so there's also a lot of elements that maybe are not for everybody top of mind. And we've been looking into that and seeing also where can we contribute. So this part of this in-depth analysis that we did last year, of course, also is looking into what is happening, what is the status of all these aspects in the ocean, and what does that mean? And what we saw, of course, was already disturbing, but the deeper you dig into it, the more disturbing it becomes almost. And that's that you see all elements, and you see here arrows going up and down, but basically they all go the wrong direction. So whether it's too much sargassum in some spots, decreasing coral and mangroves, increased acidification, a huge increase in noise, all these aspects are basically going the wrong direction. And obviously that's one way it's clear for all of us that it's wrong. I think this is just a further explanation and a further clarification that the problem is more complex and needs more of our attention than maybe we think. Now, knowing all this, the question is, so what if we're looking at the solution? What is the solution for this? And luckily, I think also today that's what's coming by is there's many solutions in the making. There's all kind of research happening. There's all kind of startups developing new technologies. The UN and the World Bank are putting efforts in increasing the awareness around the oceans problem. So that's good. We think that there's one key issue that needs to be addressed, and that's not maybe getting the attention it should be, and that's the scaling of solutions. There's so many solutions around, and I think we probably should have more still, but the only issue is how can we scale this solution in such a rate and such a pace that it's actually impacting our oceans positively in a very quick timescale, because there's urgency behind the story. So this is basically the largest problem that we saw, and also, of course, which fits with our mission, and we think we can play a role. If you think about this problem, behind this problem, there's a couple of ways to increase the scale of the solutions. One of them is increasing awareness with the larger audience. And if you increase awareness, more people will find it important, will buy maybe goods that are based on ocean products, or at least sound and safe to the oceans, or everybody will install a filter behind their washing machine so that less plastic from our daily washing will come into the water system. So increasing awareness is one. Of course, there's also a group that are bringing attention to the problem, for example, through protesting. I think that's another one. It's also increasing awareness, which is scaling the issue awareness. But I think another one, an example that really fits where we can play a role is also business models. So if you take the economical approach to these solutions, if you are looking for the right business models or find the right business models, it's actually a way to scale solutions fast around the globe, and it's been done before. And I think there's initiatives at this moment that do the same with the whole problem around having available proper clean drinking water for the world's population. Energy is a similar one, it's a sustainable energy, but I think also in the oceans that can play a major role. So we started looking into what kind of business models are there currently in the oceans space. And here you see some examples. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list of examples, but some of that we looked into. Of course, it's the restoration of ecosystem because some governments or some locations want their ecosystem to be recovered. One that's also clearly on the rise is the whole CO2 compensation. So CO2 compensation is a clear measure to fight climate change. It's not the final solution because CO2 reduction of emissions obviously should be the core focus, but it is part of the potential solution is also the compensation of CO2. You see other ones, of course, everything around scaling up what's happening around fisheries. You can see all kind of seaweed and clam farming, also coastal protection, but also the digital part. And I think digital is a crucial enabler for the whole oceans transformation. So if you need to know, or when you restoring ecosystems, you need to know what's happening. So is the coral growing? Is there more biodiversity coming? Are the mangroves growing and storing CO2? I think the measuring of all this will also be a crucial part, and obviously that will also means that there are business models there. So when you have all these business models, we took a next step and trying to make analysis of a step deeper on what these business models are and how relevant are they. And there's more behind this, but obviously I'm giving you only the summary, and it gives a little bit of idea how we looked at this. We looked at all these examples with, okay, so what's the ocean's impact? And you see that some of these models are more and less impactful for creating healthier oceans than others. The second one you see is very much about the economical approach. So what's the economic value of this? You see that some, for example, especially some ecosystems, if you take coral ecosystems, are hugely relevant for countries with tourism. So this has translate to a huge economical value for those regionalities. Another one is, for example, also with aquaculture. You also see there everything around fisheries and fish farming and shrimp farming. That's a huge economical value, especially for economies that need it very much for their local communities. The last one is, so where are the market developments? So are there actually already these dynamics of a client looking for solutions in this field? Is that already happening? And that's actually the last step that we need. If you want to develop a business model, you need the market, you need demand, and you need supply. So this is basically the analysis that we did, and that we brought us actually to more focus for the Ocean Health Program, where we wanted to start. As said, we approach this as a startup, basically. So that means that we're testing in the field now, where is the most traction and where can we find the first things. So explaining a little bit then what we do and who we are. This is basically our pitch, the way we try to approach everybody that's involved. And some of these are people here in the call. You work on the oceans on a day-to-day basis, but there's also quite some people outside that are not involved with the oceans. And I think that's very relevant because that means that we're spreading also this whole item of ocean health to other parties. Our stories is oceans are broken. It's a clean-cut way to say what the problem is, and of course we can dive a lot deeper. But at least it says, I think, what we have on our hands. Current solutions are not a scale, and we try to bring to this field solutions that have the size and the scale to make impact for oceans that we need. So that really fits to our mission, contributing to the climate change ambition. That's the prime focus, and that's a change of looking at this from what we used to. And normally it starts with business, and you have additional sustainability objectives. We change it around, saying first for us, it needs to have a positive ocean impact. Otherwise, we're not doing it. That's our prime focus. Well, some examples of things that we are exploring. One, we've quite some experience with coral restoration. So we're looking into localities where currently coral is degrading, and can we, together with the local community, find ways to develop a quick restoration of coral, new breeding of coral, and expanding of the current situation that the coral is in. Another one is, well, you already heard it, and it comes back later as well, is the one that also C Combinator is focusing on, is what can we do with the sargassum blooms that are there around the world? And especially, I very much like the link to consumer products, because again, if there's more economical value, it also gives a bigger opportunity to scale. Of course, you need to watch all the dynamics behind it. So if you're collecting this sargassum, are you not impacting other nature in different ways? So it's quite complex, but I think it's starting to mature quickly, and I hope this has potential to grow as much as possible where it contributes. Another one that we also see quite some traction on is offering corporates for CO2 offsetting. So a lot of companies have targets to reduce their emissions, but also in the meantime to offset their emissions. Actually, that demand is growing quickly, and I'm in an impression at this moment that there's actually more demand than supply. So we're looking at ways, hey, can we build mangroves? Can we build other ecosystems that are a good way of a CO2 offsetting, which means that we can faster grow our mangrove ecosystems or other ecosystems, which can contribute to the planet and the oceans in different ways. So all these are examples of models that we're currently testing with different parties. And hopefully, goes where we want it to go. But again, also new models might pop up. That's actually where we're finding our journey. So, example, the CO2 compensation I mentioned. We're trying to talk to all different kind of companies. These are just names of examples of names of companies. Some a bit more traditional companies, some newer companies. It's quite a challenge to see to get to all these clients. So if anybody wants to join us on this mission, we're very happy to cooperate. But we do see some first traction, and that's very positive. And I think that's only contributing, growing as every step that we take. So very proud. Jeff was one of the speakers running this really top class startup, C Combinator, really making impact. It's very positive to see where they're going and also the speed and the vision that they have. Again, I think skill is a crucial aspect. So we're running a pilot with C Combinator at this moment. We're very proud of it. We're very much impressed with the level and the depth of the knowledge that C Combinator is bringing to the game already. And I think Jeff shared the same picture, but it's very much from left to right, saying finding some organizations that are currently struggling with the sargassum blooms that are happening in the South and Middle American regions, collecting this sargassum in a good way and trying to make value out of this sargassum. It has a couple of dimensions, both in new consumer goods, but also in CO2 sequestration. So a beautiful example of one of those models. And again, we're currently testing where it's going, and everything looks very positive, but it also needs a very creative mindset to make these new models develop, design, and implement it, because it's never happened before. So it requires quite some traction from all the parties involved. Well, this is another example. This is more research-based example. We've been looking in the Great Barrier Reef, and this has very much been around the restoration of coral, where we've been looking into collecting the coral slick and consequently making sure that it's being put at a place where it can grow fast and get traction fast. Quite a thorough research that we did, and it's given us a lot of insights in the potential of coral, and especially the restoration of coral. So these are very, very inspiring examples, I think, of the projects that we've been involved in. Well, almost coming to the conclusion of my part of the story. This only works if you work with, I think, all the partners and all the players in the ecosystem. I personally come from a sector, the maritime sector, that's a bit more conservative and comes from the position where they want to try to do all by themselves. yeah, this is not, I think, where we are currently, and I think the presenters in this event already explained that better than I can. But partnering this with other organizations, whether it's NGOs, whether it's corporates, whether it's startups, whether it's investors, that's what will be needed to scale this up. And the flexibility and the creativity around the solutions, because this will not be a profitable business this year. Hopefully, like for example, offshore wind, it will grow there again because it will mean it scales, but it will need a lot of creativity, financing, and different parties involved to get to the level where we want to be. We've been talking to tons of companies. Of course, we always had these kind of pictures are very dangerous because we forget people, but it gives a little bit of impression of the ecosystem that we're talking to, and hopefully we hope to scale this conversation up. So finally, we're going to ask for you, if you want to partner with us on any of this, if you want to contribute to any of the solutions that we're building, if you know any companies that are interested in, CO2 compensation or coral or other restoration, oceans related restoration, please connect with us. If you know any locations where this should be happening, we're looking currently into some locations, but we're also always looking into more locations. So all these questions are relevant for us. Feel free to connect. We're very happy to do that. You can do it, for example, through our LinkedIn, but there are also other ways. So please feel invited. And yeah, I think the only thing that leaves me is we've been building on this with a very dedicated team. I'm very proud of this group of people. They're extremely excited and enthusiastic. So hopefully also through our LinkedIn, you'll be able to connect with them as well. But we're happy to have you, and we hope you enjoyed at least this plenary bit, and we're going to the next session. But that again, I leave to Rachel.
Thank you very much, Mara. Thank you.